I found out my sister made up lies about my mom ruining my engagement out of pure jealousy, so I banned her from my baby's birthday and did this with her gift. Now I woke up to 31 missed calls, throwaway for obvious reasons. So I, female 28, just discovered that my sister Tracy, female 26, has been systematically destroying my relationship with our mom Frances for over a year, and I honestly don't know what to do anymore. This is going to be long, sorry. I'm on mobile and my hands are literally shaking while I type this. So last spring, I got engaged to my boyfriend Matt after 2 years together, and I was over the moon. We found this perfect venue and I was so excited to share the photos with everyone. The very next day after posting our engagement announcement, Tracy calls me and starts off all excited and congratulatory, which felt normal because we've always been close despite the 2-year age gap. But then her tone shifted and she goes, "I hate to bring this up, but..." And my stomach just dropped. She said she'd heard Frances telling our Aunt Linda that the venue was a bit much for our budget and that Mom seemed really worried about me overspending. I felt sick. Here I am so excited about my engagement, and suddenly I'm hearing my own mother is talking shit about my choices behind my back. Tracy kept saying stuff like, "I don't want to cause drama, but I just thought you should know, and I probably shouldn't have said anything," which honestly made it feel more believable because she seemed reluctant to tell me. So obviously I called Frances and asked her directly if she had problems with our venue choice. She sounded surprised and asked where this was coming from. When I explained what Tracy had told me, Frances got quiet for a long moment, then said something like, "Honey, I love your venue. I showed the photos to 3 coworkers yesterday." I was so confused. I didn't know who to believe, but I felt like my whole engagement was ruined now. I texted Tracy about the conversation, and she responded immediately saying, "Mom's probably just embarrassed she got caught. You know how she hates confrontation." Tracy started calling me daily with more evidence. She'd forward me screenshots of family group chats where Mom allegedly made snide comments about our budget being unrealistic, and texts where Mom supposedly told our cousin that some people need to be more practical about their expectations. The screenshots looked totally legitimate. I recognized Mom's texting style in the family group chat format. Then Tracy started sending me voice messages of Mom allegedly talking to Dad Glenn about how I was getting carried away and needed someone to talk sense into me. The audio was muffled, but it sounded like Frances' voice saying really hurtful things about my choices. I know this sounds completely made up, but I swear every word is true. The evidence felt so real, and Tracy seemed so reluctant to share it, like she was genuinely torn between protecting me and not wanting to cause family drama. During our wedding planning meetings, I became cold and distant with Frances. She kept asking what was wrong, but honestly, I didn't know how to confront her about bad-mouthing me to the whole family. Tracy was actually incredible during this time. She offered to coordinate with vendors when Frances and I weren't speaking, helped with decorations, and even bought us this expensive $300 toy kitchen set as an early wedding gift to start collecting for future babies, which seemed so sweet at the time. The fights with Frances escalated to the point where we barely spoke for 3 months. Glenn kept texting me dad jokes and asking if I needed help with practical wedding stuff, trying to diffuse everything. Frances kept sending her good morning texts even when we weren't really talking, which Tracy said was classic mom manipulation, acting innocent while stirring up drama. Looking back, Tracy positioned herself as this helpful mediator throughout the entire period. She'd say things like, "I think there's just stress on everyone," and "maybe we should all take a step back," while secretly feeding me more and more evidence of Frances's criticism. Wedding day itself was so awkward. Frances and I were polite but cold, and I can see it in all our photos now. We're standing next to each other but barely interacting. Tracy made sure to position herself in family photos as like the bridge between us. She gave this touching maid of honor speech about family forgiveness and how love conquers all misunderstandings, which made several relatives cry. At the time, I thought she was trying to heal our rift, but now, God, I feel so stupid. Fast forward 18 months. I had my baby and slowly rebuilt my relationship with Frances, though things still felt strained, like we were both being super careful, not wanting to trigger another fight. Tracy has visited a couple of times since the baby was born. Same pattern each time. She'd coo over the baby for about an hour, then start complaining about her failed freelance business and asking for loans for rent or design equipment. During her most recent visit last month, She mentioned how hard it was watching everyone else's lives move forward while hers felt stuck, and asked for $400 for some freelance design course. I gave it to her because, she's my sister, and she seemed genuinely struggling. But I'd been having these nagging feelings that something about the whole wedding situation never made sense. Francis and I had such a good relationship before and after that period, and the timing of everything felt weird. Like, why would Mom suddenly start bad-mouthing my choices when she'd always been supportive? Last week I was at the baby's pediatrician appointment and ran into our cousin in the waiting room. We were chatting about family stuff while waiting, and she mentioned how weird it was that during my wedding planning, Tracy had been calling relatives asking what they thought Francis really felt about my choices. According to my cousin, Tracy would say things like, "I'm just worried about the family dynamic," and "someone needs to keep an eye on how this affects everyone," which felt like she was fishing for negative opinions rather than preventing drama. This conversation confirmed my growing suspicions and honestly made me feel sick. Yesterday, Tracy came to babysit while I ran errands. While showing me photos of her design work on her phone, she left it unlocked on the kitchen counter when she rushed to change the baby's messy diaper. I glanced at the screen and noticed a folder labeled "wedding stuff." What I found made me feel like I was going to throw up. The folder contained multiple fake text message threads Tracy had created using design software, like professional-looking screenshots showing conversations between Francis and various family members, where Francis made all those critical comments about my wedding that Tracy had been forwarding to me. There were dozens of them, organized by date and family member. But here's the part that really fucked me up. Sorry for language, but I'm still processing this. There were also recordings Tracy had made of herself imitating Francis's voice, saying negative things about my wedding choices. The file names were like "Mom Critical Voice Memo Muffled" and "Mom Talking to Dad Budget Concerns." I'm not normally the type to snoop through someone's phone, but after months of feeling like something was off, seeing this folder felt like finding proof of, I don't even know what to call it, just complete lies to ruin my family. I took screenshots of everything on my phone while Tracy was in the other room. The evidence is overwhelming. She didn't just exaggerate some comments, she literally fabricated months of evidence to make me think my own mother was undermining my wedding behind my back. When Tracy came back from changing the diaper, I was still staring at her phone. She looked at my face and immediately knew something was wrong. I asked, "What is this?" while showing her the screen, and her face went completely pale. She started stuttering. "I can explain." But honestly, what explanation could there possibly be? I scrolled through the fake conversations while she watched in panic. She started crying and said something like, "I was just trying to help you understand what was really happening. And I maybe exaggerated some things because I felt so excluded from your wedding planning." When I asked if she'd made all of this up, she grabbed my arm and begged me not to tell anyone, promising she could fix this and make everything right with Francis. I don't even remember exactly what I said next because I was in complete shock. Like, my entire 3-month feud with Francis during one of the most important times of my life was based on complete fabrications that Tracy created out of jealousy, need for attention. I still don't understand the why. I told Tracy she needed to leave immediately. She kept crying and saying, sorry, over and over, but like, how do you apologize for destroying family relationships for over a year? I called Francis that night and had this long, tearful conversation where I explained everything and showed her screenshots of the evidence. Francis started crying and said she'd been so confused and hurt by my behavior during the wedding planning, but didn't want to push me away by demanding explanations during such a stressful time. We both realized Tracy had been giving different information to both of us to keep the fight going. Telling Francis that I was overwhelmed and taking things out on family, while telling me that Francis was being critical behind my back. I've decided Tracy can't be trusted around my family anymore. She's not welcome at the baby's first birthday party this weekend, which she'd been planning to attend. I took that $300 toy kitchen set she gave us as a wedding gift and donated it to the children's charity Matt's company supports. Then posted a photo on social media thanking everyone who contributed to our donation drive. I texted Tracy, "You're not welcome at baby's name's birthday party this weekend. We've donated your gift to charity. Don't contact us." Within an hour, my phone started buzzing nonstop. Tracy had apparently called Francis and Glenn hysterically, claiming I'd lost my mind and was being harsh to her. She told them she was worried about the baby's safety, with me acting so irrationally. But when I showed Glenn the screenshots, there was this long silence before he said, "Jesus, Jessica, she really made all this up." Francis called Tracy directly to confront her, and according to Mom, Tracy finally admitted to making some things up, but claimed it was because she could tell Francis was judging my choices even if she didn't say it. Like, even when caught with organized evidence of all her lies, she still couldn't take full accountability. Most family members who've learned the truth are siding with me, with several saying they always thought something was off about the wedding issues, but couldn't put their finger on what felt wrong. But Tracy's been calling everyone, claiming she's being scapegoated for caring too much, and that I'm destroying the family over a misunderstanding. A few relatives think I'm being too harsh and should work things out, because family is family. I'm genuinely asking, am I being too harsh here? Tracy keeps saying she just exaggerated some things because she felt left out, but she created an entire evidence folder of fake screenshots and voice recordings to destroy my relationship with our mother during my wedding planning. Is there any coming back from something like this? Or am I right to protect my family by cutting her out completely? Information to add. To those asking about the technical aspect, Tracy has a degree in graphic design and freelances, though apparently not very successfully, so creating fake screenshots would be easy for her. The voice recordings were muffled enough that I couldn't tell it wasn't really Francis, and Tracy has always been good at mimicking family members' voices since we were kids. I feel so stupid for not questioning it more at the time, but when you're already stressed about wedding planning and someone shows you what looks like concrete evidence, it's hard not to believe it. Now for the first update. So, I confronted Tracy, and everything exploded. I'm honestly still shaking writing this, and probably not going to explain everything perfectly, but here goes. After I found that folder, the fake message screenshots and voice recordings, Tracy came back from changing the baby and immediately knew something was wrong. I was just standing there holding her phone with this sick feeling in my stomach. When I asked, "What is this?" while showing her the screen, her face went completely white. Like, I've never seen someone look that panicked before. She started stuttering something about, "I can explain," but honestly, what explanation could there possibly be for organized folders of fake family problems? I scrolled through more of the fake conversations while she watched. I quickly took screenshots with my own phone before handing hers back. She just broke down crying. She kept saying she was just trying to help me understand what was really happening, and that maybe she made some things up because she felt so left out of my wedding planning. The thing that really got me was when I asked if she made all of this up, she grabbed my arm and begged me not to tell anyone. Like, she was more worried about getting caught than about what she'd actually done to our family. She kept insisting that Francis probably was thinking these critical things, even if she didn't say them exactly like the fake messages showed. Tracy said she was just translating what she thought Mom really meant, and that she was protecting me by making sure I knew the truth about family opinions. Even with me literally showing her the voice memo files labeled things like "Mom, critical voice memo muffled," she still couldn't take full accountability. She kept saying she was just trying to help, and that maybe she went too far, but it came from a place of caring. I told her to leave immediately. She kept crying and saying sorry over and over, but how do you apologize for systematically destroying family relationships for over a year? That night, I couldn't sleep at all. I kept thinking about my entire wedding period and how awful the stress was with Francis, and how Tracy positioned herself as this helpful mediator the whole time. She coordinated with vendors when Mom and I weren't speaking, helped with decorations, and more recently, gave us that expensive toy kitchen set for the baby. God, I feel so stupid for not seeing it. Like, she literally created a 3-month family feud during one of the most important times of my life, and then swooped in to be the hero fixing things. The next morning, I video called Francis and had this long, tearful conversation where I explained everything. I showed her screenshots of the evidence, and she started crying and said she'd been so confused and hurt by my behavior during wedding planning, but didn't want to push me away by demanding explanations during such a stressful time. We both realized Tracy had been feeding different information to both of us to keep the fight going. She told Francis that I was stressed and taking things out on family, while telling me Francis was being critical behind my back. Mom kept saying she never sent any of those messages while scrolling through the fake conversations, and when I played the voice recordings, she just looked devastated. She said Tracy made her sound so cruel and mean, and honestly, seeing my mom's face when she heard Tracy imitating her voice, I can't get that image out of my head. I decided Tracy can't be trusted around my family anymore. The baby's first birthday party is this weekend, and Tracy was planning to attend with her new boyfriend, some guy she met through her freelance work. I texted her that she wasn't welcome at the party and that we donated her gift to charity and she shouldn't contact us. And yes, I donated that $300 toy kitchen set to the children's charity Matt's company supports. I posted a photo on social media thanking everyone who contributed to our donation drive, because honestly, that gift feels tainted now, like payment for successfully manipulating me into hating my own mother. Within an hour, my phone started buzzing nonstop. Tracy had apparently called Francis and Glenn, hysterically claiming I'd lost my mind and was being harsh to her. She told them she was worried about the baby's safety, with me acting so irrationally. Glenn called asking what was going on and why I was being so harsh to Tracy. When I explained about the fake messages, he said Tracy told him I found some old photos and misunderstood, but then I texted him screenshots while we were talking. There was this long silence before Glenn asked if she really made all this up. I explained about the voice recordings and fake conversations, and Glenn just sighed heavily. His voice completely changed, and he said he and Mom needed to talk to Tracy immediately. Francis called Tracy directly to confront her with the evidence. According to Mom, Tracy finally broke down and admitted to making some things up, but claimed she could tell Francis was judging my choices even if she didn't say it out loud. Like, even when caught with organized evidence of systematic lies, she still couldn't take full responsibility. After all that unfolded during the day, Tracy apparently continued her efforts overnight. I woke up this morning to 17 missed calls and dozens of texts. Tracy spent the entire night calling everyone in our family, claiming I was destroying the family over a misunderstanding and that I was punishing her for caring too much. Several relatives called Francis and Glenn demanding explanations. Glenn finally told Tracy she needed to stop calling people and start taking responsibility for what she'd done. Matt found that Tracy posted on social media about toxic family members and being scapegoated for caring too much. But when people asked for details in the comments, she couldn't provide specifics without admitting to the fake evidence. Most family members who learned the truth are siding with me. Several said they always thought something was off about the wedding fighting, but couldn't put their finger on what exactly felt wrong. But Tracy's still calling people, claiming she's the victim here. A few relatives think I'm being too harsh and should work things out, because family is family, but they haven't seen the extensive evidence on her phone. Looking back, I realize Tracy's been asking for money more frequently since her freelance business isn't working out. During her last visit, she seemed bitter about watching my life progress, while hers felt stuck. I gave her $400 last month for some design course because she seemed genuinely struggling, but now I'm wondering if this was all part of some pattern. I've been having doubts about the wedding fighting for months, because it seems so out of character for Francis, who's always been supportive. And the timing of Tracy's evidence always seemed conveniently timed for maximum emotional impact. I realize now that her position as maid of honor gave her perfect cover for calling relatives and stirring up fighting while appearing to be a concerned mediator, trying to keep the family together. I don't know how someone does this to their own family. Creates fake evidence to destroy relationships during someone's wedding planning and then positions themselves as the peacemaker. Am I wrong to ban her from family events going forward? Should I have handled this differently? Some relatives are saying I'm being unforgiving, but honestly, I don't see how we come back from something like this. Information to add. To everyone asking about the technical stuff, Tracy has a graphic design degree and freelances, though apparently not very successfully based on her constant money requests, so creating fake screenshots would be easy for her. The voice recordings were muffled enough that I couldn't tell it wasn't really Francis at the time, and Tracy's always been good at mimicking family members' voices since we were kids. I feel so stupid for not questioning it more, but when you're stressed about wedding planning and someone shows you what looks like concrete evidence from multiple family members, it's hard not to believe it. Also, yes, I kept screenshots of everything on my phone as evidence in case she tries to claim I'm making this up. Now for the second update. So, the truth came out, and now everything's completely blown up. I know this sounds totally insane, but the aftermath of exposing Tracy has been wild, and I honestly don't know how to process everything that's happened since I found that folder on her phone. Sorry this is going to be super long again, but I need to get this all out. First off, showing Frances the evidence was God. I can't even describe it properly. I called her the day after I confronted Tracy and told her I needed to show her something really important, and she came over within an hour looking all worried, probably because I sounded like complete shit on the phone. I pulled up the screenshots on my phone and handed it to her, and she looked so confused at first. She asked what she was looking at, and I explained these were fake text messages Tracy created to make me think you were criticizing my wedding behind my back. And Frances her mouth literally hung open as she scrolled through all the fake conversations. She kept looking up at me and back at the phone, saying she never sent any of these messages and that these conversations never happened. And honestly, seeing my mom realize that her own daughter had fabricated months of family problems was heartbreaking. Like you could see it hitting her in real time. But then I showed her the voice recordings, and that's when she really lost it. Hearing Tracy imitate her voice, saying all those cruel things about my wedding choices, Frances started crying and said Tracy made her sound so mean and judgmental, and I felt like such an asshole for believing it all. I apologized over and over for treating her so coldly during my wedding planning, and Frances hugged me and said she'd been so confused why I seemed angry with her, but didn't want to make my wedding stress worse by pushing for explanations. Like, my poor mom spent 3 months wondering what she'd done wrong while Tracy was completely destroying our relationship with fake evidence. I'm getting emotional writing this because I keep thinking about how much bonding time Frances and I lost during what should have been such a happy period. How well Tracy pulled this off is what really gets me. She used her graphic design skills to create these incredibly convincing fake screenshots and recorded herself imitating Frances's voice patterns perfectly. She timed everything too. She dropped these fake revelations right when I was most vulnerable about wedding planning decisions, making sure to hurt me the most. And then she positioned herself as this helpful mediator throughout the entire 3-month feud she created, offering to coordinate with vendors when Mom and I weren't speaking, helping with decorations, giving us that expensive toy kitchen set. God, I feel so stupid, but it felt like she was being the supportive sister trying to keep the family together, when really she was getting off on being needed during a crisis she manufactured. Anyway, the family fallout has been explosive. After I exposed everything, Tracy went into full victim mode and started calling literally everyone in our extended family, claiming I was destroying the family over a misunderstanding and punishing her for caring too much. Like, caring too much. She completely fabricated evidence to ruin my relationship with our mother during my wedding planning. But sure, Tracy, you were just caring too much. Several relatives called Frances and Glenn, demanding explanations because Tracy was sobbing to them about being scapegoated by toxic family members. Glenn finally had enough and told Tracy she needed to stop calling people and start taking responsibility for what she'd done. Most family members who've learned the truth are siding with me, with several saying they always thought something was off about the wedding problems, but couldn't put their finger on what exactly felt wrong. My cousin mentioned that Tracy's calls during the wedding period felt like she was fishing for negative opinions about Frances, asking leading questions about family dynamics while pretending to be a concerned maid of honor. But here's where it gets really wild. Tracy's boyfriend apparently broke up with her yesterday after seeing her true nature. She called me at like 11 p.m. hysterically crying, and I stupidly answered because I thought maybe something terrible had happened. She was sobbing about how he said he can't deal with someone who creates this much family problems, and I asked what exactly she told him about the situation. Tracy admitted she spent hours crying to him about being scapegoated by toxic family members and demanding he skip work to drive her around dealing with this crisis. Her voice got all desperate, and she begged me to call him and explain that she's not the problem here, and I told her, I'm not calling anyone on your behalf. She screamed that I've turned everyone against her before hanging up. I told Matt about the call, and he said it was good. Maybe now she'll face some real consequences for what she did, which honestly felt harsh but also fair. Like, this is probably the first time Tracy's manipulation has actually cost her something real. The baby's first birthday party happened yesterday, and for the first time since the wedding planning problems began, Frances and I celebrated together without Tracy causing problems in the background. Frances brought this beautiful handmade photo album of the baby's first year, and we spent the afternoon looking through pictures and talking about how much we'd missed our close relationship during the wedding period. Glenn made his usual dad jokes, but also pulled me aside to apologize for not recognizing Tracy's manipulation sooner. He said he always knew Tracy could be dramatic, but never imagined she'd completely fabricate evidence to destroy family relationships. The party felt genuinely joyful without Tracy's presence. Like, there was no constant stress or feeling that someone was stirring up problems beneath the surface. I realized how exhausting it had been to constantly navigate Tracy's emotional manipulation and manufactured crises, and how peaceful family gatherings could be without that dynamic. Matt mentioned that several relatives texted him during the party, saying how happy Frances and I looked together, and how they'd been worried about the family problems during the wedding period, but hadn't known how to help. But I'm still getting mixed reactions from extended family. Most support my decision to ban Tracy from family events, but a few relatives think I'm being too harsh and should work things out because family is family. My aunt even suggested that Tracy made some mistakes but meant well, which shows how effective Tracy's victim narrative has been with family members who don't know the full truth. These people haven't seen all the evidence on Tracy's phone or understood how much of her lies went on for many months. They're responding to Tracy's tearful phone calls about being abandoned by her sister, not the organized folders of fake family problems she created with professional design software. Tracy has sent several apologetic texts trying to minimize her actions as exaggerations and misunderstandings, but she hasn't shown real remorse or taken full responsibility. Even when caught with organized evidence of all her lies, she's still spinning it as caring too much or misreading family dynamics. Some relatives are still receiving late-night calls from Tracy, claiming to be the victim of family scapegoating, but fewer people are responding sympathetically now that the evidence has spread through the family network. I'm not sure what the long-term consequences will be for Tracy or our family relationships, but I feel clear that protecting my family and my relationship with Frances is more important than enabling Tracy's manipulative behavior. Honestly, I don't know if there's any path forward with Tracy, or if cutting her off forever is the healthiest choice. Some relatives think I'm being too unforgiving, while others support maintaining strict boundaries with someone who proved capable of such careful manipulation. Like, how do you come back from completely destroying family relationships during someone's wedding planning and then positioning yourself as the peacemaker? I keep going back to that $300 toy kitchen set, which now feels like payment for successfully manipulating me into hating my own mother. I guess I'm asking, is there any scenario where Tracy really changes and becomes trustworthy again? Or am I right to protect my family by keeping her permanently out of our lives? The relatives pushing for reconciliation keep saying she's still your sister, but like, what kind of sister does this to their own family? Edit 1. To everyone asking about Glenn's reaction, he was really shocked and hurt when I showed him the evidence. Said he knew Tracy was dramatic, but never imagined she'd make up complete lies to destroy family relationships during my wedding planning. 2. Yes, I kept all the screenshots from Tracy's phone as evidence in case she tries to claim I'm making this up or exaggerating what I found in her design folders. 3. Several people are asking about the technical aspect. Tracy has a graphic design degree and freelances, though apparently not successfully based on constant money requests, so creating fake screenshots was easy for her, and she's always been good at mimicking voices. 4. The baby's birthday party was really peaceful without Tracy there. Frances and I spent hours looking through photos and talking about rebuilding our relationship after months of manufactured problems. 5. To those suggesting I should give Tracy one more chance, she had multiple opportunities to come clean during the 3 months of family fighting she created, but instead doubled down with more fake evidence and positioned herself as the helpful mediator.